So I wanted to look at a different aspect of healing today. So obviously, when I do my distant healings, I look at emotional, mental and physical issues with somebody. Quite often I will say to someone if I feel they need to kind of implement things themselves, so if there's allergies or things like that. However, one area that I wanted to talk about today was your actual physical body. So we are obviously a living organism and we have a soul that from a spiritual perspective I see as being eternal. So everybody has their own view on what happens to their soul. But for me personally, I feel that this is a bodysuit that we come in, and each lifetime we have a new suit of armour, so to speak, that we need to look after. Otherwise we can neglect it and it can have all sorts of problems. Now we obviously have a lifespan with this body that we're in, and this deteriorates over time and you end up with grey hair, you end up with wrinkles, and this happens. It's called obviously the aging process. However, this can speed up drastically if we're not aware of what we are putting into our bodies, and this is obviously our responsibility. So this is called elemental replenishing, and it's about making sure that we are aware of what we are putting into our bodysuit, so to speak. And some of the elements that I'm going to talk to you about today, you know, we often will go and buy the latest wrinkle cream or have something done to make ourselves look younger. And actually, we can quite easily keep ourselves looking really, really youthful if we look at other aspects within our lives. So, for example, now this obviously is quite obvious, but drinking a vast amount of water is incredibly important. So rather than drinking soda sugary drinks, that is something that can really not help with the aging process. It can drastically affect your aging process, and people aren't really aware of this. So drinking huge amounts of filtered, good quality water. If you can't get filtered water, then obviously just consuming water is incredibly good for you anyway. So it's just making sure that you're getting your water intake up and you're keeping that regular. So, you know, tea and coffee and things like that, it's all great, but if that's what you want to drink, but water is incredibly important. And just reminding yourself, even if you have a bottle of water, a big like litre bottle, and you're ensuring that you're drinking that and you're refilling it. So that's the first thing. Second thing is making sure that you try and avoid chemicals within your foods. Now this can be quite tricky. I know you go to the supermarket, you're not always sure what is sprayed on your foods, what is being put into your foods. So you have to be obviously aware of that. But trying to buy organic, I can't emphasize enough, is incredibly important, because with organic, you know to a certain extent that your food isn't going to have the amount of pesticides and things like that. Obviously, if you can grow your vegetables and things yourself, then the more the better, because then you know exactly what is going in. But chemicals actually can really, really bring on the aging process much, much quicker. And again, people don't realise that things like pesticides and all those kind of toxins and chemicals can really, really create the aging process and wrinkles and things like that. So that's another thing. Processed foods are obviously all these kind of things. Our body was not created to have things like processed foods, chemicals, sugary soda drinks. And you know, we were born to have a plant-based diet and to have anything from the ground to be consumed within us in order to keep our body healthy, fit, well, and for it to stay looking young. So anything that is processed is obviously and created in a factory is obviously not real natural food. So it's again really important to look at what food you're eating, making sure you're eating a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetable, nuts, grains, things that come from the earth and are grown. That's something else that I want to discuss. It's really, really important that we look at that. Other things are breathing techniques. Quite often, you know, we're born and we come into the world. The first thing we do is breathe. The first thing we do when we pass away is our last breath. But we forget how important our breathing is. Obviously, we know that we need to breathe to stay alive, but the importance of our breathing technique, breathing really deeply, breathing in, being very aware of our breath. you need lots of oxygen for your body to stay young and looking young, and in order to not have like the wrinkles and all that kind of thing, it's really important to get oxygen in the body. So this isn't just about going outside and getting fresh air. That's obviously really, really important. But this is about understanding your breath and how you're regulating your breathing. Meditation is a great practice in order to learn and be aware of your breathing and holding breaths, taking deep breaths, really breathing in that oxygen. It's very, very hard with this mask situation because actually you're depleting yourself of a lot of oxygen when you're wearing a mask. So please ensure that you're making sure that when you don't need to wear it in a shop or something like that, that you are taking it off in order for you to really get that oxygen and that breath work in, because again, that can really have a detrimental effect on the aging process. And the other thing is going out into nature. Nature is so, so important for your being and in order to replenish the elements within you. So, you know, going for walks, being around rivers, being around lakes, around streams, being around trees, you know, walking on grass if you can barefoot. Obviously it's quite cold at the moment, but just being around nature, being out in nature, absorbing nature, not going for a walk and being immersed on your mobile phone, but actually really taking it in and breathing it in. Obviously, if you are in a built-up city and you're not that close to these kind of things, even just having some living plants in your home will really benefit you. It's just having that earth elements around you that can really, really help you, and also just to incorporate that in your everyday life. So that's another thing. When I want to go back to the chemical side of things, obviously I clear all these kind of things, all these chemicals and toxins in every single healing I do, but it's important to kind of keep that up. So this is why I'm saying about kind of ensuring that you look at your products, what you're buying, and making sure that they are grown in a sustainable way, and that you're, you know, that you're making sure that you're putting things in your body that are going to be good for you in order to keep that aging process to slow down slightly. Also, inflammation is a big factor in the body. I have lots of clients that come to me with inflammation and problems like that, and this is all due to not breathing properly and having that breathing technique. So often when you find that you've got inflammation or pain, it is very much related to there not being enough oxygen going around the body. So that is something else that I wanted to just kind of go over there. So yeah, I think that is absolutely everything. As I say, sugary drinks and things like that, again, it's a no-no. Anything with lots of sugar in it and processed is going to actually speed up that aging process. So, you know, it's overall going and buying the wrinkle creams, but actually you can make yourself look so much more youthful just by looking at what you're actually putting into your body. So yeah, I think that is absolutely everything. I think I've covered, I'm just going over it all. So yeah, it's replenishing everything in order for you to have a more youthful life and living in a more youthful way. And also your exterior looking more youthful, looking, you know, trying to get rid of that aging process, because anything with chemicals, toxins, so for example, cigarette smoke, alcohol, I'm not trying to be a party pooper, but there's a lot of chemicals and sulfates and things in alcohol, and obviously we know that cigarette smoke, you know, it's clearly obvious that that doesn't help with aging either. So they're just elements I wanted to talk about today. I just thought it'd be an interesting topic to talk about, because often I will talk about, you know, emotional, mental issues within healing. But I don't really talk about the fact that when we were created, our body was really sustainable for earthly things, so for plant-based foods, for natural water, for fresh air, for nature, and it wasn't really prepared for processed foods, sugars, toxins, chemicals, not getting enough oxygen, and all those elements, and that's why the body ages quicker. So yeah, I hope that's an interesting topic for you today. So that is all about elemental replenishing, and yeah, if you're interested in asking me a few more questions, please do feel free to comment on the video or send me a message. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye.